This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
Episode 850, 8 awesome ideas for your classroom for April. Today's sponsor is EverFi. April is Financial Literacy Month, and they have fantastic free digital lessons for K through 12 students. So stay tuned at the end of the show to learn more about these valuable lessons. So on with the show. Happy April, friends. So today we're going to talk about Eclipse resources, Earth Day, Arbor Day, citizen science projects, Financial Literacy Month, and more. And I will include links in the show notes at my blog for this episode at coolcatteacher.com/April 2024. I also have test review tips. But first, I want to mention how I'm recording this episode. I'm reading a fantastic book called Hidden Potential by Adam Grant, and one thing he mentions is that uncomfortable feeling when you are learning new things and how we have to learn to embrace it. Well, I'm uncomfortable, all right, and this is my third time recording this episode. I have purchased a very cool Elgato teleprompter that lets me look at it when I'm interviewing guests, and I'm able to look at my guests, and it looks like I'm looking at the camera at the same time. I'm doing this because I am now co-releasing my episodes onto YouTube and also creating clips for Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and using all the AI features in Riverside. But there's also a teleprompter feature inside Riverside and in, of course, this Elgato teleprompter. And I will admit, I have been struggling. I have just spent the last 2 hours working on lighting. I have recorded the whole thing sitting down. I did not like how that looks. Now I'm going to record standing up and using in the built-in teleprompter and camera hub along with photo booth instead of the teleprompter in Riverside to see which I like, because we have to experiment to see what works, just like we do in our classrooms. Now, if you have an opinion about this sort of thing, feel free to shoot me an email, but I'm not going to spend any more money right now, so it just needs to be tips that I can use. So I hope you will learn something new this April that makes you uncomfortable, because that feeling is part of progress. And we need to remember that our students, if we are teaching new content, live this way every day. We need to model learning. So learn something new this April, and I hope you'll have something in this episode that you can experiment with. So let's look at our 8 topics. First of all, the Eclipse event for North America. Monday, April 8th, will be a total eclipse event, but your classroom can be anywhere in the world to participate. This eclipse starts in the Pacific Ocean and moves into Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and small parts of Tennessee and Michigan, as well as a small portion of Canada. These are all in the path of the totality of the eclipse. To see this path, look at NASA's Map Explorer for this eclipse. And for my friends in South America, there's an upcoming eclipse in October, and you can check out the path of that. NASA will have a live broadcast with coverage starting at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4 p.m. Additionally, the National Science Foundation has viewing events in Washington, D.C., Dallas, Texas, and their own live stream explaining about the eclipse. For other teaching resources and a guide for administrators, go to the National Science Teaching Association website. There they have an archived webinar about safe solar eclipse viewing techniques and what administrators and teachers need to know to keep their students safe. Even if you're not having a viewing event, if you have students who you think are going to skip school and look at the eclipse, please talk to them so they do not have permanent eyesight damage. Second is April is Financial Literacy Month. So I have a blog post going live on April 2nd talking about how you can teach financial literacy with free resources from EverFi. Now, EverFi is the sponsor of today's podcast, but of course, all these opinions are my own, and I wrote this whole episode myself. So the issue with financial literacy is that in the past, it has most often been a skill passed down from parents to their children. So if a parent is financially literate, they are more likely to train children who are financially literate also. However, the opposite is also true. If a parent struggles with financial literacy or just doesn't teach their child about financial literacy at all, then that child is less likely to have financial literacy. So you can see how financial literacy is increasingly becoming an equity issue. So let's talk about 4 courses for all ages for you to check out. EverFi Financial Literacy for High School includes how to complete a W-4 and information on taxes and more. So with Tax Day in the U.S. on April 15th, students may have taxes on their minds, and it may be a great experience to have simulated tax forms in the month of April because of that. There's also Smart Economics for middle school. This is a middle school course that helps students understand how government and economics shape our world. And then probably the most important class for all middle schoolers to have is called Future Smart Financial Literacy. I think every middle schooler should take this because if you kind of look at prime time for taking financial literacy courses, middle school is when you really need to start because so many opinions about money are being shaped at that point. So this course is free, but was recently independently validated to meet ESSA Level 3, which demonstrates that the usage of this Future Smart digital course shows a positive, statistically significant relationship with a student's financial knowledge, self-efficacy, and behaviors. Now, if you teach elementary school, there is Vault, Understanding Money, to help your students understand the basics of budgeting, career planning, healthy borrowing habits, and more. So find a way to teach financial literacy, even if it is creating a classroom store, having kids pretend to file mock taxes. We all need to help our students learn about financial literacy. So now let's talk about our third item, Earth Day. Earth Day is April 22nd, and there are so many ways you can celebrate. Of course, earthday.org has a resource library with toolkits, lesson plans, and more. And some of the topics you might want to study, you've got air quality, learning about bees and insects, cleaning up trash, making recycling bins, learning how to use recycling bins, or even adopting a plant. You may know that plants are shown to improve concentration, productivity, and memory. And if you look at a picture of my office, you will see that I have multiple plants all throughout the office. I've also seen schools plant and care for gardens in the month of April, and then harvest a crop before school gets out in May or June. I've also had my friend Stephen Ritz on the show. He is of greenbronxmachine.org, and they grow plants in amazing ways at that school and eat and harvest the plants and share them with their community. That is a really cool program. You can also talk about water saving techniques in your classroom and use the water footprint calculator at watercalculator.org. Your students can also pick a citizen science project like iNaturalist or the wildlife missions at Project NOAA or even the cross-curricular lessons at Zooniverse. Okay, and I got to share this one because I love to cook. I found a recipe for the cutest Earth Day cupcakes that I'm going to link to in the show notes that you can make with your students to celebrate Earth Day. It uses bright green and bright blue batter and looks like the earth when it cooks. So that is awesome. Now, let's talk about number 4. Arbor Day is April 27th. So on this day, many of us plant trees, but some states may celebrate on a different day because of the different growth cycles and weather. The Arbor Day Foundation has resources for you, and you want to go ahead and order your trees. And in fact, this is something you can do anytime during the year. If you need to plant trees on your campus, involve your students and talk about the importance of planting trees and how good they are for our environment. Number 5, one thing we need to be doing in April is planning our summer PD and also taking professional development now. Now, last week's podcast was Modern Classrooms, and they have some fully funded enrollments in their virtual mentorship program and other ways you can get up to speed on competency-based, mastery-based learning. Those applications are due at the end of April, so follow the link in my show notes. Also, stay tuned to my blog and show for an upcoming webinar at the end of this month about competency-based and mastery-based learning. You should also check out EduBadges, a sponsor of my January podcast, who has a fantastic micro-credentialing program for teachers, administrators, and school staff. And you can earn contact hours or graduate credit. And that's what I'm going to be doing to earn my CEU credit. I also look forward to some of you at ISTE 2024 in Denver, Colorado, where I will be part of 2 sessions and look forward to connecting with you there. Number 6, I hope that you will join me for Artificial Intelligence in the Learning Landscape on April 18th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. For $25, I am conducting a 2-hour session on artificial intelligence in the learning landscape with the Darton Foundation and Albany State University. The proceeds help student scholarships. This is designed for individuals and educators to understand the rapid changes in AI and how we can use AI to help us become more proficient and inspire new ways of learning. Now, I haven't really shared a lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you online, so I look forward to kind of bringing what I'm doing in my classroom. I'll also be talking about what we need to be doing as educators to help our students move successfully into the age of AI, and I hope you will join me. Again, those links are in the show notes. Number 7, safety for students in automobiles. I'm not sure if this is happening in your area, but I've been reading about so many senseless crashes and deaths of children racing at high speeds. It is a shame when a high school student crashes and their whole life is completely over. So I wanted to share some hands-on STEM lessons about crash science to help promote crash safety. I found them at the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. However, I've also seen mock crash events set up that are very powerful at schools, including life flight helicopters. Contact your state highway public safety organization to set this up. I have also found an organization called StreetRacingKills.org that is working to bring awareness to the dangers of this disturbing trend. So let's work on this because we know summer is coming up and we want to help our students make wise choices. Number 8, and you're kind of like, Vicki, why didn't you cover this first? But test review. So test review is coming and there are fun ways to do this. I want to give a shout out to my friend Lisa O'Connor. Her classes always like to play trash-get-ball. So here's how you play trash-get-ball. You have a worksheet with problems or whatever you're reviewing, and you want to have a bunch of different ones up at the front. When students complete it, they hand the paper to a teacher or to some officials that you have recruited to quickly check the work. Once everything is correct, the student earns points by shooting their worksheet into the trash can. Magic School AI has a great Jeopardy review game to help generate questions for you. Or there are other AI tools where you can put in the standards and current questions you've already used and generate other questions and answers that you can put into the game of your choice. After you check those questions and answers, of course, because we know that AI can absolutely be wrong. My students love reviewing on GimKit for their AP Computer Science Principles exam, and we're also using JuiceMind, which is a must-use tool for anyone who teaches programming or computer science of any kind. There's also Blooket, Quizzes, and Kahoot, of course. Remember to use quick formative assessments so you know where students are struggling. And remember to plan fun brain breaks with a tool like GoNoodle or some of those videos on YouTube. Also, remember to be aware of the test anxiety that some students have when taking a test. Prepare them ahead of time with relaxation techniques. And remember, those students are so important and far more than a test score. So do encourage your students. As you're listening to this show, I am enjoying spring break and I am ready. Once I perfect this show that I keep recording, I will be reading, fishing, relaxing, and getting some sleep, and am ready for some sunshine and a long walk or two as I continue to get stronger from kind of being sick some this winter. I'm also enjoying reading Slow Productivity by Cal Newport and the awesome book I already mentioned called Hidden Potential, The Science of Achieving Greater Things by Adam Grant. Another book I highly recommend is All It Takes Is a Goal by Jon Acuff. I've already read it 3 times this year. I have it on audiobook and have brought multiple paper copies and the Kindle version. So this is obviously a book I really like. Now, I've shared 8 topics of ideas for you in April, and I hope this is helpful. Now, this particular episode itself is a bit of an experiment for me. Again, I want to be uncomfortable, try new things, and see what helps you the most. So let me know if you like having an idea podcast. I used to do this every month on my blog, and so this might be something that I keep doing if you find it helpful. I often share this sort of thing already, though, at my newsletter. So sign up at coolcatteacher.com/newsletter. Now let's talk about today's sponsor, EverFi, that made this episode possible. Everybody remembers that teacher, the study hall teacher who walked you through your first college application, the social studies teacher who taught you what taxes were and how to file them, the math teacher who used student loans to show you how interest worked. You can be that teacher. And EverFi wants to help you make that kind of impact with free digital lessons for K through 12 students. From budgets and banking to credit and savings, you will find a financial literacy topic that's right for your classroom, just like I have, and especially during April, Financial Literacy Month. There is no better time to equip students with smart decision-making around finances. So learn how you can share these free resources with students and give them a financial foundation that lasts a lifetime. So check out everfi.com/coolcat. That's everfi.com/coolcat. And check out all of their free resources for Financial Literacy Month. Thanks for listening to this episode full of experiments, and we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure I'll see you in the traffic here in just a few. And as always, thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, leave a review.
You've been listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. If you want more content from Vicki Davis, you can find her on Facebook, X.com, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube at Cool Cat Teacher. Thank you for listening.